Almost a year ago, no one had ever heard of the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. The $2,000 monthly assistance program became a lifesaver for millions of Canadians out of work and out of pocket because of the pandemic. And since it evolved into the Canada Recovery Benefit, billions more have been paid out. Tonight, Abigail Bimman talks to those who have relied on it and who fear what comes next.
When live drag shows became impossible, Chris Reed, aka Continental Breakfast, moved online.
It was venues and nightclubs and theaters that closed first and will most likely be the last thing to come back. And I realized that all of a sudden it felt like my job had almost become illegal.
Virtual wasn't easy. This show was reported for being explicit and taken off social media. So Reed started their own production company, Queer-Based Media. The money isn't nearly as good. Reed had to move and relied on first the Canada Emergency Response Benefit and now the Canada Recovery Benefit. Reed's now worried about whether they'll get a letter from the CRA saying they need to repay some.
It was constantly thinking that I was either making too much money or not enough money, and I'm behind on all my bills, you know?
The people who are already struggling before the pandemic numbered in the millions of Canadians.
Natalie Appleyard says the vulnerable are hardest hit by COVID-19. She's one of many advocates, along with the NDP, calling for a repayment amnesty.
Rather than try to squeeze money out of people that already are struggling to put food on the table, we believe that anyone below the low-income threshold should be exempt from having to repay the CERB, and that we could just consider this an investment.
I'm very, very afraid. I have no idea what I'm going to do.
Yvonne Spicer has relied on federal benefits for a year. Now she's stressed about having to pay back more than $3,000 in provincial disability benefits. She attends college and is a caregiver for her mother.
You don't get a lot to cover your expenses. It really makes you feel like if I wasn't living with my mom, I wouldn't have a roof over my head.
The federal government was not able to tell us by deadline how many people were told they need to repay benefits. The employment minister's office tells Global News they will be flexible and understanding, but the minister herself has said an amnesty is not on the table. Abigail Bimman, Global News, Ottawa.